Cody Rhodes has announced that he is injured. Elsewhere, Kayla Braxton is leaving WWE and Joe Hendry has teased a return to NXT. Hello everybody, Jack and Ross here with the Monday Morning Wrestling News. You're back from Germany?
I am back from Germany.
All the football?
All of the football.
All the beer?
All of the beer.
Oh yeah.
And nothing much more.
Elsewhere, someone who had a more stressful weekend, I'd suggest, would be Cody Rhodes, who cut a promo after his match against Shinsuke Nakamura at the live event in Bloomington, Illinois, Illinois. And claimed that he's currently working injured.
Yeah, he reckons he's got 2 broken ribs after that shoot splash from one Jacob Fatu on SmackDown. At the end of SmackDown Friday. Jacob Fatu, of course, coming off the top rope, doing a Shane McMahon, some might say.
Oh, right. Very
and
interesting.
then through the announcers table at the ringside area. But don't worry if you're going to Madison Square Garden to watch SmackDown this coming Friday, Jack.
That's because with his ribs taped up, Cody claimed that WWE wanted him to take the weekend off, basically, and recover, as well as next week's Friday, or this week's Friday Night SmackDown at Madison Square Garden in New York City. And Cody said, hell no.
Yeah.
He's not going to miss a show of that magnitude.
Yeah, I reckon it's just maybe he's got a little bit of a ding up, a little ding up. So we'll say because Jacob Fatu is a fairly big man.
Oh yeah,
and he fell from a great height straight through his ribs. So I reckon he just said weekend off, just heal your little wounds or whatever, and then get back to work next week.
It is currently unknown if Cody's injury is legitimate or storyline, but as Ross has suggested there, I think that even if he is maybe a little bit injured, it would almost be wrong of WWE not to milk it for their heroic champion and say, oh, I'm going to work through this injury and be the big hero that we all want Cody to be. I think it makes sense.
Yeah, it's definitely a work.
Well,
100% work.
We're not saying that, right? Anyway, this one's sad news, because I think she was really good. Kayla Braxton is departing WWE and could be in talks with AEW as well. We'll get onto that in a second. But yeah, in case you missed it, after spending 8 years with the promotion, Kayla Braxton announced that she'll be parting ways with the company. In a social media post, she revealed that this Friday's episode of SmackDown in MSG will be her last one.
Yeah, she did really well. What she was sort of given, the position she was given backstage. Obviously, her stuff with Paul Heyman on Talking Smack, as she mentions in her social media post, there was the stuff of legend, because it's the way that her and Heyman interacted. You wouldn't expect it to be such a thing, but it really worked. The camaraderie they had on screen together. Yeah,
they don't seem like the most. You would never pair them together naturally, but they did have really good comic timing together and everything. It's a big quote, but I guess we'll split it in half. The Kayla quote. She said, "After nearly 8 years holding the microphone on WWE television, I'm setting it down to pursue my next chapter. Next week at the world's most famous arena, I will be officially signing off. During my years with WWE, I was able to master the art of the backstage interview. I hope I was able to turn minutes into moments for you who watched week to week, and maybe even ushered in a new fan base. My banter with Paul Heyman became the stuff of legend, and I'm so thankful for all he has done to elevate my career. I gained a wealth of knowledge from the wise man, and for that I'll be eternally grateful."
Thank you to every single person who made me feel like this was my home and I was part of this family. Thank you for taking a chance on me and welcoming this outsider in with open arms. I hope I made you proud, and I'd love it if you'd stay with me for the next chapter. I'm excited to reveal to all of you what I have coming up next. It's very interesting, because do you remember that promo she did with LA Knight a couple of weeks ago where she just didn't respond? And everyone was like, what the hell's going on?
And people will say,
that's
something
not
weird.
Peppy Kayla Braxton. They give her a full professional wrestling nickname, Peppy Kayla Braxton. But yeah, ever since then, it just felt like there was something a bit off. And obviously, I guess the wheels have been in motion for this for quite some time.
Yeah, that's a good point. It was a strange little segment, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I think 99% of the time, Kayla Braxton was more than enthusiastic enough to be. And I think she might have been my favourite one, out of all the backstage interviews and stuff.
Yeah. Just in WWE,
Yeah. Maybe everywhere. No,
I love a bit of Renee, me.
I like Rancid Kelly Clancy down on NXT as well.
Enthusiastic sometimes.
Kelly Kincaid, to give her a real name. And we did mention a little bit earlier there, or I did at the start of this Kayla Braxton bit, that she'd been in talks with AEW, but as you pointed out there's actually 2 conflicting reports.
Yeah, so the first one is from Fightful Select, who revealed that Braxton had been working on a verbal agreement with WWE for the last few weeks after her deal expired, so that would have been a per-show agreement, I'm assuming there. It was known that AEW was made aware of her contract status. This is according to Fightful Select once again, though there is nothing to suggest that the two sides have been in any contact. However, as we hit the wrestling journalism tennis ball over the tennis net, yet there's a conflicting report, isn't there, Jack?
That's because Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio has said that Kayla Braxton and AEW have been in talks, saying it might be AEW, it might not. There definitely was talk between her and AEW. She was looking to other things as well. It was one of those things. I was told she could see the writing on the wall, speaking about her departure from WWE. He goes on to say, they pretty much decided that Kathy Kelly and Jackie Redmond were going to be the top two ones, so she was number 3, and I think by that she could kind of see that maybe it was time to go somewhere else.
Interesting there, because she did a lot of stuff outside of just on Raw and SmackDown or whatever show she was booked on at the time. I remember the stuff with The Bump, a lot of the digital content we'd see on sort of YouTube and whatnot, she was fronting that up. So to see that sort of like, that's the top 2, and then Kayla Braxton's there, I don't quite agree with that, because there's lots of stuff that the WWE do that she did very well.
Yeah, I think she was probably my favourite one in WWE. I think that Kathy's great, but she'd been away and then come back, and it seemed like Kathy was being used a little bit more sparingly than Kayla, who, as you say, did loads of different stuff. Kayla hosted like the PLE pre-shows as well, didn't she?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Well.
I'm sure she'll get somewhere. Whether it's in wrestling or outside of wrestling, she's got that sort of... like when Renee Paquette left WWE, we all just said, oh, she's got that broadcasting thing. Yeah. That means she could do the broadcasting anywhere. Obviously, she stayed in wrestling after leaving WWE, but Kayla Braxton could do anything she wants.
Honestly, right? Whenever someone leaves and then pops up and then the next news story is like, this ex-WWE backstage figure is now... America's so big and has so many channels that she'll find somewhere quite easily. Yes. I've got no doubt. If that's what she wants to do. Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. We have massacred Hendry's deliberately easy to remember catchphrase there. Joe Hendry has teased a potential return to NXT. He was in Swansea yesterday wrestling for Burning Heart, and prior to the event he did a cheeky old post on X/Twitter.
He said, Swansea is beautiful today. It's an absolute, and you'll never believe what word he used, heat wave with a couple of emojis. I think there's a flame and some sort of waving thingy, and he's an ice cream parlour called Joe's.
The Joe's bit's nice and everything.
Not owned by him, I'd assume, but still a different Joe. I believe in Joe ice cream.
But the salient bit of information there, as Ross has deduced, is Heatwave, because that's the name of NXT's next big show.
Yes, it is, and that takes place on Sunday, July the 7th, 2024, which is the day before my mum's birthday. So cheers for the reminder, sexy chef Saul Michaels. But a lot of people I saw were angry about Joe Hendry's appearance on NXT last week, which I can see, because on the face of things, the biggest, most talked about name outside of the big 2 promotions, you would say today, probably. That's fair to say, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
He was brought into the ring and then spaffed out of there in a minute. But the headlines were made because he did that stuff backstage with Shawn Michaels, where he said he's going to appear on any show. I'll be at any show. So I think the fact he did that with Shawn Michaels probably stands him in better stead than if he just had a good appearance in that match and then ultimately didn't win.
Yes, I would agree. Me and Tom were talking last week about how, as you say, some people were angry about it, but it was, in its own way, more of a spotlight than it would. And the Shawn Michaels stuff, even though it was a digital exclusive, they wouldn't have shot something. I don't think they'd have shot something with Shawn Michaels with just anyone that they didn't have any future designs on. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens. And whether he does pop up at Heatwave, we know that Joe Hendry's a cheeky boy and likes to market himself. Like when we were in Scotland last weekend, you might have seen that big billboard with his face on it. A leaf out of the Adam Pacitti playbook, you might say. And that he's just good at keeping himself in the conversation all the time. And have you seen the numbers that the segment? It's breaking records.
Was it the top most ever viewed social media thingy or something? I forgot what the actual.
I think it might have reached number 1 now. Yeah, something like that. It's crazy stuff, and I hope he gets back in there.
I think it's a nailed on cert.
Do you think it's weird seeing someone that we know in the cartoonish world that is NXT?
Absolutely not. No,
fair enough. Okay,
that's where Joe Hendry belongs, at the very top.
Yeah, all right, okay,
at the very top.
Thank you very much for watching this news video. I've been Jack from Cultaholic. This has been Ross. Leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments section down below, and there'll be more news later on today as well. Thanks once again for watching, and we'll see you soon.